Hey, what's up, Caps fans? Justin and Pat here from Caps Goal Line Reviews. So today's trade deadline day, and that means none of us were really that productive at work because we were feverishly refreshing our phones, hitting F5 on the NHL website, and checking whatever blogging source that you look at when the trades are going down. So it's also a very exciting day for us Caps fans because we get to see, what deals get finalized, to see kind of what the team's trying to do, what holes are trying to fill in order to make a successful playoff run.
Absolutely, and the Caps didn't wait for the deadline, the day of the deadline, to actually make that deal.
No, they didn't. 2 days before the trade deadline, the Caps got Kevin Shattenkirk and also got goaltender Phoenix Copley back from the St. Louis Blues for a first-round pick, a conditional second, and for who was it?
Brad Malone.
Brad Malone and Zach Sanford.
Zach Sanford.
That's right. So, kind of with this deal, the Caps have dealt a lot of their picks in the coming seasons. And, it's kind of unnerving for us fans to see because, a slump is going to happen at some point for our team. Our prospect pool is pretty deep right now, but we don't really have much to pull from in the years to come. But that also means that the Caps are going to be going all out this season, which is going to be good because I know we are sick of seeing the Caps getting knocked out of the playoffs really early. I know you guys are too. This year they're going all in. They're putting all their eggs in one basket. I think it's about time that we did that.
I hate like hell to see the Caps get into a bidding war for any player, but it was pretty apparent early on that the big prize of the trade deadline was going to be Kevin Shattenkirk, and the Caps did. They went all in. They went out and got him. Yes, he was expensive. First, a conditional second. Brad Malone. Zach Sanford, who started to look pretty good. He started out the year with the Caps, was sent down to Hershey, kind of regained some confidence, and has been playing pretty well lately. He has some pretty decent wheels. We'll have to see what kind of player he becomes now in the St. Louis organization. But we get Phoenix Copley back, and that kind of fills a need in Hershey. I think they kind of soured a little bit on Joe Canada, which is why he was dealt today, to the Avalanche. In return, we got Colby Corbett, defenseman, and they needed help on the blue line. So the key, I think, here for the Caps, though, is that they filled a huge need on that blue line. We needed to upgrade with a top four. We got that and then some with Shattenkirk.
Yeah, I mean, what they were going for wasn't the speed in the blue line because Kevin Shattenkirk's not the fastest player in the world. He's not the quickest player in the world, but he's got a decent offensive mind. He's one of those guys that could potentially be a forward, maybe in another universe. But he's got an insane number of power play points this season. I think he ranks second behind Shea Weber maybe for power play points per 60 minutes played. The guy's insane, and it's great because when we lost Mike Green, a lot of Caps fans weren't too fazed by it. But it did kind of leave a hole on the power play that wasn't really filled. We were kind of utilizing Matt Niskanen and John Carlson and Dmitry Orlov to be that guy that could make plays and score goals in the power play. And not to say that they didn't step up to the role, but it wasn't quite the same. So Kevin Shattenkirk is that new Mike Green that we could utilize. And we paid a lot for him, but Arizona kind of opened up the bidding war with the prices set really high. So it was certainly a seller's market this year at trade deadline.
Well, we've been watching Shattenkirk for years. He played with the Avalanche and, of course, with the Blues. We kind of knew what he had. But what amazed me is the guy steps off the plane, no morning skate. I think he may have looked at a little bit of film, maybe went over some things with the coaches, but he seemed to fit right in. And boy, was he feeding Ovi right on the button. He was putting it right in Ovi's wheelhouse.
So, everyone in the league knows exactly what that's going to be. You're going on the power play, you're with Ovechkin, you feed him so that he can rip the one-timer. And I was actually looking at video today of the practice this morning, and Shattenkirk and Ovi were practicing that feed.
Oh my God, yeah.
Where Ovi's sitting in the Ovi spot at the top of the circle or the center of the circle, and Shattenkirk's just feeding it on over him, and he's ripping them.
And the beauty in that is that other teams just can't expect that. They're going to be kept honest because Shattenkirk can bring it to the net. and you get a little traffic in front of the net, and he's going to take it to the net. He may not always pass it. He keeps the options open, and they've got to cover it because Shattenkirk can put the puck in the net like very few defensemen can in the league, and he brings that dimension to that power play. It's only going to make it better. I think the power play was ranked 5th in the league prior to the trade. It's just going to get better. It's kind of an embarrassment of riches, and I think the Caps probably the big winners of the entire trade deadline in my view.
I would think so. And you could see like other teams feverishly running around today trying to make big moves. And one of those teams was the Pittsburgh Penguins. So they acquired 2 defensemen today. They got Frank Corrado from the Toronto Maple Leafs, and they ended up trading away Eric Fair, Steve Alexi, and a pick. And they also got Mark Streit from Tampa Bay, who kind of flipped them because he came immediately from Philadelphia. And not even 45 minutes later, he's saying, you're going from one Pennsylvania team to the other.
Right. I think Tampa's clearing some cap space. They've got some guys to re-sign next year. Well, and they didn't want to take on that salary.
That's true. And Tampa's also retaining, I want to say, like 46% of the salary on that trade too. The Penguins, they're making up for the injuries that they've been dealing with lately.
Yeah, their blue line's really banged up.
Yeah. So they ended up going and getting a young defenseman from Toronto who's been an AHL and an NHL player this past season. He's played pretty well for the Marlies, and you got an aging Straight. So he's 39, but the man's got wheels still. He's one of the faster defensemen. It seems like the Penguins really like their fast old guys, Mark Cullen and Mark Straight.
Yeah, I mean, I really, I tell you, I like Toronto picking up a little bit of depth. Toronto's in the thick of the playoff race. They've got a shot. They added a little bit of depth, and I think that that's a team that with maybe Eric Fair's. Alexi's probably going to go to the Marlies.
Yeah.
But I think Eric Fair could maybe give that team a little bit of depth. He's not scoring like he was when he was with the Capitals and early on with the Penguins. But I wouldn't give up on him just yet. I just think he's still got a little life left in him. Not necessarily a bad return, and some added depth for a team, quite frankly, in the Maple Leafs that need depth. They do.
Yeah, they do. And I mean, they were in full rebuild mode for the last couple seasons. It's the starting to pay dividends. They've got a lot of young talent. They've got 3 of the best rookies in the entire NHL on their team. They're gonna make a serious case for themselves come this playoffs. And I mean, with rookies, you never know. They've never seen the postseason before. The game gets kicked up a couple notches. The speed increases. The physicality increases. You end up playing the same team over and over and over again. So it's a matter of how well can your team adapt to the team that you're playing against, and how well can you prevent them from adapting to you.
Right.
That kind of takes a lot of rookies by surprise. But I mean, then you get some spectacular performances like Matt Murray last year, standing on his head the entire playoffs to take the Penguins to the Cup. It's a toss of the coin, and I think they've got a lot of really good young talent, and I think favorably of them this postseason. I would expect them to make it to at least the second round.
Well, interesting situation with the Penguins. So you've got Matt Murray and you've got Marc-Andre Fleury. How many goaltenders can you protect in the expansion draft?
You can protect one.
One. What does Fleury have in his contract?
What, does he have a year after this?
No, he's got a no movement clause.
Oh, he's got a no movement clause.
Which means that I think that Matt Murray is actually the goaltender of the future for that team. They did not trade Marc-Andre Fleury today. He's got an NMC. If he doesn't waive it,
he's got to waive it. They're gonna have to do something.
It's going to be an interesting situation in Pittsburgh during the offseason, I can tell you that.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
So let's go through and let's talk winners and losers. I think we both agree the Caps won on their trade. I think they won the whole trade deadline, to be quite honest with you. But we'll see. I mean, we've got a lot of this depends upon how the team performs as well, and some of these conditional picks also depends upon how the teams perform. So
yeah.
Let's take a look at the Coyotes sending Martin Hansel and Ryan White to the Wild, and they got Grayson Downey on a first, a second, and a conditional fourth.
So this is kind of what set the tone for the entire trade deadline. I think Hansel and White went for a pretty expensive price. I honestly wasn't expecting them to be able to move Hansel and White and not be able to move Radim Vrbata. He's one of those guys. He's quietly put up like 46 or 47 points this year, and I know the age tends to be a factor that turns people off because you're looking for the younger guys in the postseason for that speed. But he's a very smart player. He's a very talented player. He can shoot the hell out of the puck. I'm surprised he didn't go. I'm kind of not surprised that Doan didn't get moved, but whatever. That's another conversation. I think the Wild made a very good move here. It also looks like they're going all in for the season. I don't think their window is closing nearly as fast as the Caps is, but they're definitely making a case for themselves this year. It would not be a surprise to me to see them make the finals, especially since they're only 3 points behind the Capitals as of now.
I agree. The thing about this trade is, and it did come at a price, I think that Minnesota added some needs. I think they got a couple of very good players. I mean, Ryan White right away, I think he had a goal and an assist in his first game. The Coyotes are loading up with picks. The problem with the Coyotes, they always seem to trade some of these decent players for picks and prospects, but they never seem to get themselves out of the basement. At some point in time, you've got to build around the team that you have and not just give everything away and keep starting over again. And that's kind of seeming to be what the pattern that they're in. And I think Shane Doan is very frustrated. You know, he was interviewed the other day. You know, you can't just keep rebuilding over and over again. At some point in time, you've got to take the foundation and add to it and not take from it.
Well, it wasn't too long ago that the Coyotes made the postseason and made it to, they made it to the second or third round when they faced the Predators. It's not like they've got one of the deepest prospect pools in the entire NHL. Maybe even the deepest. They've got Dylan Strome coming in next year. He's finishing off his last year in the juniors, and he's gonna make a massive difference to that team. I know we said the same thing about Max Domi coming to the team, but this is different. Max Domi has had several injuries already. He's kind of surrounded by a lot of players that really aren't playing up to his level, and they're getting a lot of picks, and they could potentially get the first overall pick this
they could. The
draft.
Interesting thing here also is they've got some cap room. Some of these guys they traded away that are rentals. If they really like Arizona, they could certainly sign again with them in July. So it's go ahead, have a run with this team. Come back and see us on July 1st. You never know. Some of these things can come. It's happened before. I think that the Coyotes, I think they've positioned themselves with the assets very well in the future.
Yeah.
I think the problem with them is they just need to get over that hump initially. So you've got the Kings getting Bishop for Budaj and Cernak, a 7th round pick and a 2017 conditional pick. The Kings fill the need with Bishop. Quick's been injured.
I don't know how I feel about this trade. I think the Lightning come out on top. They've got 2 picks. They got Budaj, who's not
and they cleared salary cap.
They did. They cleared a lot of salary space. You've got 2 starting goalies, and I don't think that's necessarily what you want going into the postseason. Them competing for ice time. It's not like in the playoffs you just play one goalie and then you play another goalie. You play pretty much the same goalie the entire time unless something happens,
right?
Or unless you have to pull them because they let in a couple goals early and then you need to let them clear their head for the game or something like that. The move doesn't really make much sense to me. The Kings picking up Bishop when they already have Quick. He's going to be coming back. I mean, he's already back, isn't he?
Yes.
He's not injured anymore. Yeah. So, there could be like a nagging thing going on, but I don't know. I don't know what they're trying to do with that. The Kings are certainly closing the door on themselves with that trade, and they also picked up Jerome McGinley from the Avalanche, which also doesn't make much sense to me because the man, he's scored like 8 goals this season.
Yes.
He has slowed down considerably. I don't think he really gives them anything that they need.
I love Jerome McGinley, but he doesn't have much left in the tank. I don't know that he really helps them. He does give them that experience, the locker room presence, but beyond that, for a team like LA who's still trying to work their way into the playoffs, I'm not sure exactly what he adds. So, that's another one that's a little bit of a head scratcher. Thomas Vanek sent to the Panthers for Dylan McElrath and a 3rd round pick. McElrath is a big guy. I think he's like 6'5". He's kind of a physical defenseman. Doesn't skate all that well. Florida picks up a big need, I think. Vanek, I think the Detroit soured on him a little bit. I think maybe they're dumping some salary as well. Florida fills a need here, and this is a team trying to make a push.
Yeah, and they get a huge offensive presence. Obviously they already got decent offense and
Right.
some decent offense from their defense with guys like Ekblad and Yandel. Obviously, they've got a relatively deep. They've got a relatively deep forward.
Yeah, but you're adding a guy that's going to
game.
score between 20 and 25 goals this year. He's got 15 already.
Yeah.
I like the trade from Florida's standpoint, and from the fact that I think that they needed to add that type of player to their roster. I just like it all the way around. I mean, obviously Detroit's a seller. You look at what they've done, and they're selling.
Honestly, I was kind of surprised that Florida wasn't trying to go for any sort of goaltending. Maybe with Bishop. I mean, it's you don't want to trade with teams like in your home state. But Bobby Lou's been having issues lately. He hasn't been playing too well. His age is certainly catching up to him. This may be anomalous, but he is getting old, and he started his career with Florida like 17 years ago.
Yes.
So I do think that Florida comes out on top with that trade in the short term because they've I mean, could you imagine having Barkov and Vanek on the same team? That's pretty insane.
Yeah, I mean they're certainly going to be an improved team now. They're making this final run here, so it's going to be interesting. And that's another team that's been struggling to sell seats, and I think that they're starting to do that. I mean, certainly last season and this season, I think that they've certainly gotten themselves on a trajectory that I think some of the fans are pretty happy with. So we'll see what transpires there. So some interesting stuff. Some cap space cleared. Some guys getting rid. Detroit got rid of Ott. I mean.
I was surprised to see that happen.
For what? It was a 6th round pick.
Yeah,
I think.
it was like pretty much for nothing. I mean, yeah, Ott, like he kind of peaked, 4 years ago, and he's been on a steady decline since then. But I thought he was worth more than a 6th.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think that they might get more than that. The market probably didn't. The calls weren't coming in. They didn't get that. Another one that was really to me, Jonathan Dahlin for Alex Burrows. Here's another one that I think might be, probably fills a need with the Senators. I think a lot of people a few years ago never would have seen or thought that Burrows would have been traded from the Canucks. I still think though the Canucks kind of did themselves some. I like the trade when they got Nikolai Goldobin for Yannick Hansen. They got youth, they got a prospect in. Whether he pans out or not, we'll see.
Clearing some room because the Nucks are still in rebuild mode. I mean, they've been a fire sale team since the 13-14 season. But I mean, these are all moves that they need to make, and they're making their rebuild period really short. So I think they came out on top on both of those trades as well.
I'm very happy the Caps stood pat today. There was some talk that they would add a forward, maybe a Shane Doan, Jerome McGinley, some type of veteran. At that point in time, as it's currently situated, if a guy goes down, they're going to have to get somebody from Hershey, maybe not NHL playoff ready. But I like the way they're positioned. They do have some guys who are up and down who I think can fill some of those roles. So I think they're in a pretty good place. I'm very happy with it. We'll see how it goes going forward, but I'm pretty stoked.
I mean, I'm pretty excited, especially considering the way they played last night against the New York Rangers. It was kind of tough coming back from that bye week. We start off with 2 games back-to-back that are 22 hours apart, then 2 days off, then a game, then a day off, and then 2 games back-to-back 22 hours apart. Yeah. It's hard enough to come back from a bye week, but when you come back to a schedule like that, when your guys are going to be exhausted from taking those days off, the systems aren't going to work as well as they did. Players are going to be a little bit rusty.
Right.
The passing certainly wasn't there the first several games. So it looks like they came back in full form. They worked the Rangers the last 50 minutes of the game.
Yes.
We were still missing Orpik and Oshie, but we still brought it to them.
I mean, Derek Stepan probably feels like he was run over by a truck and beaten up by a mob this morning when he woke up. The guy was crunched. There was another, I think isn't
Jesper
Victor
Fast
is out.
He's got a shoulder separation, and I know some Rangers players were calling for Ovi to get a charging penalty. He may have left his feet a little bit. I don't know if it was before or during the contact.
The league's not even reviewing it that I know of.
It's not.
But the bottom line is the Caps are, I think, well positioned heading into playoffs. A lot of people, if you read all the blog sites and everything else, I think one of the sites is Canoe up in Canada. They said, this is the Washington Capitals world. We're just living in it. So, I saw another site where it says, what should Ron Hextall do with the Flyers? And one of the guys said, trade the Flyers to the Washington for the Capitals. So I think we're in a good place. I think the rest of the league recognizes that. But, if it's one thing that it's burned and seared into our consciousness and our souls over the last many decades is don't get too confident when it comes to the playoffs. Let's just sit back. Let's have some quiet optimism, some cautious optimism, and move forward and see what happens.
But at the same time, you have to realize that the Caps are going all in this season. If it doesn't happen this year, it's likely not going to happen for the next 5 or 6. So it really stings to say, but that's the situation we put ourselves into.
Right.
It seems like maybe we didn't put the effort in GM-wise the last several years that we needed to make this happen. But if it's going to be any year, it's going to be this year.
Hats off to Brian McClellan. He's done a fantastic job. Solid all the way around. The power play is just unbelievable. On paper, we look like world beaters, so let's see if we can beat the world.
Let's hope we can.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in with us.
Wait. We got something else.
What's up?
So, Justin did a road trip to Nashville.
Oh, man. Okay, so, yeah, me and 3 friends went down to Nashville to see the Caps take on the Predators. And, we didn't go into the game with the highest of expectations, especially since the Caps had played the Oilers the night before at 7 p.m., and this game was at 5 p.m. and 4 p.m. Central Time. It was actually kind of a rough experience. The city was great. I love Nashville. I love it to death. I've been there, 5 or 6 times already. I know my friends had fun too. But we got heckled, like, really bad. Like, I wouldn't expect any other fan base except maybe the Flyers and the Rangers to do that, and that would just be because we're rivals with them. Yeah, I was surprised. I mean, it's also a good thing to see because Nashville, they finally got a passionate fan base, but yeah, I wasn't ready for that.
Yeah, so.
And it really sucked to see them lose on the road like that, especially in a sea of gold, but whatever. The Caps road crew was there.
We had a lot of injuries, we had a couple of key guys
we didn't
out.
have Oshie, we didn't have Niskanen, we didn't have Orpik, and right. They were pretty sleepy. Oh yeah, we didn't have Burakovsky also, so. Yeah. It is what it is. It was still fun to go.
Yep.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in with us, guys.
Wait. So we have another special announcement. I know that we're going to be going, I think, if we're not mistaken, we're going to the Caps Coyotes game on March 25th.
Yeah.
So pretty cool. We're looking forward to that. But we do have a special announcement.
What's the announcement?
The announcement is that Justin and I are going to go on a father-son road trip to see the Caps play the Phoenix Coyotes.
Holy shit.
In Phoenix on March 31st. Everything's booked. We're going.
I'm so ready for this. Oh my god. Is this why you wanted me to take PTO?
That's your PTO.
Oh man, this is going to be awesome. Oh,
this was legitimately a surprise.
Much.
I didn't... Justin's 25th is coming up, and I never told him, didn't even hint about it. The whole family know about it. He didn't. We kept it secret for a long, long time, and so.
Wait, how long was this in the works for?
A while.
Oh man, thank you so much, Dad.
Yep.
I appreciate it.
Father-son road trip, and we'll give a report when we're done.
All right.
Until next time.
Let's go Caps.